The room shifts the moment you enter, not because you shout, not because you force, but because presence can speak louder than any voice. Eyes turn, conversations falter, and tension bends to your will. People reveal themselves when you stay silent, when you listen, when you measure every pause. You don't need anger, you don't need volume. Control is quieter than that. A single word, dropped like a stone into still water, ripples through every thought in the room. By the time you speak, they're already leaning toward you. Because control begins before a word is ever uttered. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to push, to force, or to raise your voice. People listen to those who own themselves, who occupy space without asking permission. Stand tall, shoulders back, chin up. Every movement matters. The way you hold yourself tells them who's in charge before you even speak. Eye contact, never shy, never flinching. Let them meet your gaze, and they'll start bending to your presence. Confidence isn't loud, it's quiet, it's measured, it's precise. When you walk into a room, let them feel the shift. You're not asking for attention, you're claiming it. Let them fit it, let them adjust, let them measure themselves against you. The energy you carry becomes the conversation itself. No words required, no unnecessary gestures. Every nod, every pause, every deliberate step loaded with authority. Control starts with how you carry yourself. Your silence has weight. Every unspoken word becomes an expectation, a question, a tension they cannot ignore. Speak only when necessary, and when you do, let it land like steel. Let them hang on each syllable, because you have given the pause meaning. Speak with intent. Let every word pull, direct, influence. Say less, command more. Observe them. See who reacts, who falters, who steps forward too soon. Their insecurities will show. You don't have to point them out. You don't have to correct them. Just exist in that space and let your calm dominate. People instinctively follow those who are certain, who never waver, never apologize for your authority, never soften the edge. They'll respect it, even if they don't admit it. You can control without raising your voice because control begins with self-possession. Stand still, stand firm, make them wait for your words. And when you speak, they'll obey without a sound. You listen and you wait. That's your first weapon. Do not rush to fill silence. The moment someone speaks, you don't respond immediately. You pause, count to 3, slow, deliberate. Let them feel the weight of your presence before a single word leaves your lips. That pause is not empty. It is calculated. Every second you hold back, they reveal more than they intend. Nervous tics, overconfidence, hesitation, they all come to the surface. You see it, you use it. Do not fear silence. Many will try to fill it for you. Let them stumble over their own words, correct themselves, justify themselves. Every second they speak without direction is a second you control. You are patient. You do not need to dominate the moment with noise. You dominate by restraint. Speak after the pause, and your words hit harder, sharper. They have already leaned forward, waiting. That is when you strike, not with volume, but with precision. When someone challenges you, do not answer immediately. Measure, breathe. Let them question themselves. Let them question their timing, their judgment. You are not reacting. You are observing. The pause is your stage. Every second of quiet is a statement. You are calm. You are in control. They are not. Their frustration, their doubt, their impatience, it all becomes yours to shape. You will notice the shift in tone, the micro-expressions, those small movements, the tightening jaw, the blinking eyes. They tell you everything. Use it. Use it to guide, to redirect, to assert without aggression. Your calm will be louder than their anger. Your measured words will outweigh their sentences. Let silence do the heavy lifting. Speak when it matters. Speak when your words have gravity. Every pause is a step closer to total command of the room. This is not complicated. Pause, observe, then speak. Pause, watch, then guide. Pause, and the conversation bends to you. Every word after the silence carries weight because it comes from someone who is not desperate, someone who is not hurried. You are deliberate. You are patient. You are in control. And control, my friend, is not shown in volume. It is held in the quiet between the words. You listen carefully. Every word you speak carries weight. If it's chosen with precision, You don't waste air on empty sentences or filler. You say what matters, nothing more, nothing less. People respect clarity. They follow it, they respond to it. You don't explain yourself, you don't justify. You speak, and they understand. That's the difference between someone who commands and someone who begs for attention. Words are tools, weapons even. Learn to use them deliberately. Measure them. Consider their impact before they leave your lips. When you speak, let your words land. Don't scatter them across the room. One phrase can cut deeper than 10 shouted sentences. You don't raise your voice to make them listen. You raise the weight of your meaning. That pause before a word falls is where control begins. They wait, they anticipate, and when you finally release it, it hits with exactness. No noise, no fury, just authority. That's how you command respect silently. Never ramble. Never repeat what's already obvious. People can tell when you pad your sentences. They sense weakness when words flow too easily, too plentifully. Let every syllable matter. Let every phrase be a decision. Think before you speak. Choose words that force them to consider, to hesitate, to respond. You see, control isn't loud, it's precise. Use questions carefully. Lead them without them noticing. Your words should guide, not push. Drop a statement that seems casual, but carries intent. Drop a question that feels innocent, but shapes decisions. You are the invisible hand moving the room, shaping thoughts, guiding outcomes. Let them feel in charge while they're walking your path. They won't see it coming. That's how you dominate a conversation without raising your voice. And listen. Listen more than you speak. Words are powerful, yes, but silence teaches you more than any speech ever will. They will reveal everything if you stay quiet long enough. Their responses, their hesitations, their eagerness, all of it gives you leverage. When you finally speak, your words aren't just words. They're consequences. They hit where they need to when they need to. Precision in language is control. Precision in timing is dominance. Together, they make you untouchable. You don't ask for attention. You don't demand it. You take it with each word, each carefully measured phrase, each silent calculation behind your gaze. People follow those who know what they mean before they speak it. Your words should always carry that weight. One phrase, one moment, one decision. Speak deliberately. Speak quietly. Speak and let them obey without a single raised voice. You watch. Always. You don't need them to tell you anything. You see it. You notice the cracks. Everyone has them. Everyone. Insecurity, pride, fear, greed. They all leave marks, small gestures, tiny habits. Spot them. Learn them. Exploit them quietly. You don't confront weakness with noise. You exploit it with observation. You take the room by knowing what they won't say. Their confidence is a performance. The louder they speak, the smaller they feel. The more they try to dominate, the more desperate they are to prove something. You wait. You let them reveal themselves. A slight stutter, a glance away, a tense hand. These are your leverage. The world bends for those who notice. Those who see beyond words. You don't need to raise your voice. You need to see what others hide from themselves. When they lie, when they exaggerate, don't interrupt. Don't accuse. Wait. Let them hang in their own narrative. Silence makes them uncomfortable. The more they talk, the more they expose. And you? You simply nod, watch, calculate. That's all it takes. One observation, one pause, one measured reaction, enough to tilt the power balance without a single raised voice. People respond to those who see them clearly. When you recognize their weaknesses before they realize them, you control the conversation without effort. You don't need to dominate. You simply let them lead themselves into your hand. They will underestimate you. That's the advantage. Let them reveal their limits while you remain composed. Let them exhaust themselves with their own misjudgment. You don't interfere, you orchestrate silently. Sometimes it's pride. Sometimes it's fear dressed as courage. Sometimes it's eagerness to impress. All of it gives you leverage. Read it, internalize it, act on it with subtlety. Timing is everything. One wrong move and the advantage disappears. One careful word, one raised eyebrow, one quiet observation, enough to shift the room. That's how you stay ahead. That's how you control the conversation without ever raising your voice. You don't confront, you don't shout. You watch, you understand, you move. That's power. Silent, undeniable, unchallengeable. The weaker they are, the louder their own behavior speaks. And you're listening. always listening. You control the conversation before it begins. You decide the direction, even if they think they do. Every topic has a frame. Every discussion has boundaries. Your job is to set them quietly, deliberately, without anyone noticing. You don't force the conversation. You guide it, subtly. You plant suggestions, pose questions, and let them walk where you want them to. People follow patterns. They respond to cues. Give them the cues, and they move as you intend. That's control. Never ask. Never demand. Lead. A question can be more powerful than a statement. What do you think about this? Seems harmless, but it nudges them toward your desired path. You're not negotiating. You're orchestrating. You are the invisible hand steering their thoughts. Your words are bridges. Your pauses are signals. You place them where you want them, and they're crossed without realizing they're crossing. That's power. That's influence. That's Thomas Shelby. Control the narrative. Don't let anyone else. If they try to change the topic, redirect calmly. One phrase, one gesture, one subtle adjustment, and the conversation bends back to your frame. People test boundaries. They always do. Let them. Observe how far they push. Adjust your framing silently. Push back only when necessary, and even then, without anger. The softer your control, the stronger it feels to them. Use language that implies direction, not demand. Perhaps we should. Let's consider. Imagine if these phrases sound optional, but they carry authority. They let you guide without seeming forceful. People follow clarity. People follow calm. They follow the one who knows where the conversation is going before it even starts. You are that person. You are the frame. The frame defines what's possible. If the frame is yours, the outcome is too. And remember, framing isn't only words, it's presence. Positioning yourself in the room, pausing at the right moment, choosing when to listen and when to speak. All of it reinforces the frame. People feel it subconsciously. They bend to it without realizing it. Your control is not in volume, nor in force. It is in the structure you build silently, in the cues you place, in the questions you ask. When you leave a conversation, the frame remains. They remember your direction. They remember your influence. They remember that even without shouting, without demanding, without forcing, you were the one who guided everything. That's the power of framing. Quiet, calculated, unseen, unquestioned. That is how a conversation becomes yours before a word is even spoken. Listen carefully. Tone is more than sound. It's authority. It's control. You don't raise your voice to be heard. You shape the room with the way you speak. Calm, deliberate, precise. That's how influence works. People respond not to volume, but to conviction. You say the same words anyone else could say, but your tone makes them obey. That's the difference. That's power. Never let emotion dictate your voice. Anger, frustration, excitement, these make you predictable, weak. Control your tone, and you control perception. Speak slower when you want weight. Pause when you want tension. Lower it slightly when you want submission. Raise it subtly when you need attention, but never overdo it. People notice extremes. They follow nuance. That's how you dominate a conversation without shouting. Use tone to convey confidence even when you're unsure. People trust certainty more than truth. You don't explain. You don't plead. You assert. A single word, spoken with the right cadence, can silence an entire room. Timing and modulation matter. Let them lean in. Let them wait. Let them feel the intention behind your words before they even register. Tone is invisible force. It bends others before you even need argument. Your tone is your mask. Calm on the outside, decisive on the inside. You can hide strategy, frustration, or calculation behind it. They see composure. They assume control. That assumption is your leverage. People respond instinctively to tone. They don't question it. They obey it. You don't demand obedience with volume. You earn it silently with the way your words land. Finally, remember this. Tone is not just how you speak, but when. Speak over chaos with calm. Speak to tension with stillness. Speak to doubt with certainty. One well-placed word, delivered with unshakable tone, outweighs 10 shouted sentences. People remember the sound of authority long after the words fade. Your voice becomes their guide, your calm their anchor, your tone, the invisible chain that keeps control firmly in your hands. You become the calm in the storm. The world around you moves with noise, chaos, and unpredictability. People shout, argue, push, pull. But you don't react. You observe. You stand still. You are the anchor. Others may not realize it, but they feel it. They lean toward your steadiness. They mirror your composure without understanding why. That's influence. That's control. Your presence, quiet and deliberate, sets the pace of every interaction. You don't need to dominate with words or volume. Your calmness alone reshapes the room. People will test you, push against you, seek to unsettle you. But the more you remain unmoved, the more they bend. You are the center they gravitate toward, whether they know it or not. Every conversation, every interaction, every subtle glance, they measure it against you. And that measurement always works in your favor. Position yourself intentionally. Where you sit, where you stand, the angle of your body, all of it communicates authority. People sense alignment, they sense strength, and they respond instinctively. You don't explain your intentions. You don't justify. You let presence do the work. Let them talk. Let them fidget. Let them guess. You remain unmoved. You remain deliberate. That is the anchor. That is your power. Even in silence, you speak. Even in stillness, you command. Your composure communicates a warning, a promise, a quiet authority. People respond because they feel imbalance when you hold your ground and control when others falter. The room aligns with you, not through fear, not through coercion, but through recognition of your quiet dominance. You are the reference point. Others measure their own behavior against your calm. Their reactions become predictable. Their decisions bend subtly in your favor. This is not passive. It is strategic. It is deliberate. You are shaping outcomes without ever raising your voice. You are moving the room with invisible hands. You are controlling without effort, winning without argument. Every interaction becomes easier, every conversation more predictable, every influence more absolute, because you are the anchor. And in every room, every discussion, every decision, they will know, without words, that you are in control. Questions are not neutral. Every question you ask carries direction, whether they realize it or not. You don't ask to learn, you ask to lead. You shape decisions before they even consider them. Every question is a lever. Every answer is your tool. You do not give away control. You take it with intent, quietly, subtly. That is the power of strategic questioning. Ask questions that seem casual, innocent even, but guide the thought process. How would you handle this? Feels harmless, but it plants the seed of your framing. What do you think we should do next? Directs them down a path you've already chosen. Let them believe they are in control. Let them justify decisions you have already anticipated. They walk the path you built. They follow the map you created, all while thinking it's their choice. That is influence without effort. Timing is everything. You don't ask questions randomly. You ask them when hesitation appears, when uncertainty surfaces, when they overcommit. That's when your questions hit hardest. They reveal their true intentions, their limits, their doubts. You gather information. You guide behavior. You maintain control. Questions are your silent weapon. They expose weakness, provoke thought, and set direction, all without raising your voice. Be precise. Avoid fluff. Avoid obvious leading questions. A subtle shift in phrasing can turn compliance into choice. Why do you think that's the best way? Carries doubt and invites justification. How would we improve this? Invites reflection under your frame. The key is to remain neutral on the surface while commanding the conversation underneath. People respond instinctively. They reveal, comply, adjust, all under the illusion of agency. Weigh, listen, watch. Observe their hesitation, their eagerness, their discomfort. That's where your leverage grows. One well-placed question can redirect the entire room, tilt decisions in your favor, and leave them unaware of your influence. You don't force compliance. You create it. You don't shout commands. You shape outcomes. That's how control is won quietly, effectively, without ever raising your voice. You never show what you feel. That's your advantage. Emotion is the currency of weakness. People react to it, follow it, fear it. You don't give them that. You control their feelings without ever revealing your own. Calmness, patience, detachment. You don't need to shout, argue, or plead. You simply exist with control, and they react. That is power. People will try to provoke you. They will test your patience, They will push, insult, frustrate, even intimidate. Do not react. Do not rise. Let them expend energy on you while you remain steady. Their anger, their fear, their confusion, use it. Let it inform your decisions. Let it shape the conversation. Let it work for you. They are emotional, impulsive. You are calculated, deliberate. One observation, one calm word, one shift in stance, and their emotional momentum becomes your leverage. You influence without appearing to influence. A pause here, a look there, a carefully chosen phrase. They overthink it. They second-guess themselves. They align with you without knowing why. You are never overt, never desperate, never obvious. That is the Shelby method. Emotional leverage delivered quietly, invisibly, unchallengeable. They believe they are acting freely, but you've guided every step. That is control. That is dominance without aggression. Your detachment creates respect. People fear unpredictability. They fear those who remain unreadable. You are unreadable. Your silence becomes a weapon, your calm a shield, your precision a sword. They will walk on eggshells, adjust their tone, alter their behavior, all to match yours. And they do it voluntarily. You never asked. You never demanded. You never raised your voice. You simply exist in control, and they follow. And here's the final truth. The more they feel, the less you do. Let their emotions guide them into decisions you've already foreseen. Let their impulses, their pride, their doubts work in your favor. You never give away your own feelings, never show vulnerability. You are the anchor, the shadow, the quiet force shaping outcomes. Emotional leverage without emotion. This is the ultimate dominance. You bend reality without confrontation. You command obedience without a single raised voice. That is control. That is power. That is Thomas Shelby. You don't lecture. You don't explain. You show. Stories are not entertainment. They are strategy. A well-placed narrative can shift perspective, redirect thought, and influence action without a single command. People remember images, emotions, lessons. They remember the story, not the argument. That's why you use it. That's why it works. When you speak, embed your intent in stories. Make it subtle. Let them draw conclusions while thinking they arrived there themselves. The narrative is the frame, the lesson hidden beneath dialogue, the command disguised as reflection. You do not appear controlling, but they follow the path you laid. You do not raise your voice, but the story carries authority. It teaches without seeming to teach. It guides without seeming to guide. Use examples, metaphors, experiences. Not your own, always. Their minds attached to the tale, the lesson, the implied consequence. They will act on it later, unknowingly, because you've shaped their internal narrative. That is subtle domination. That is quiet power. And do not overdo it. The story must be precise, clear, impactful. Too long, too detailed, and it loses influence. Too shallow, and it fails to guide. Measure it, craft it, deliver it with intent, with timing. The pause before, the calm tone during, the silence after all. Magnify its effect. People will feel the weight of your lesson without hearing the command. That is mastery. A story is also a mirror. People reveal themselves in how they react, what resonates, what they challenge. You learn more from their response than from any direct conversation. Every reaction is information, leverage, opportunity. You do not speak louder. You do not assert harder. You observe, you listen, you frame. The story does the work. The story is the weapon. Finally, remember this. Influence that comes from subtle storytelling lasts. Commands fade. Lectures are forgotten. Stories stick. They shape perception, beliefs, decisions. When you speak through narrative, you control the thought before they know it exists. You move the room, shape the outcomes, bend the conversation, all without shouting, all without forcing. That is the silent power of a story. That is how you dominate quietly, like Thomas Shelby. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is power. The moment you stop speaking, the world starts talking. They fill the void with their own assumptions, their own doubts, their own insecurities. And you? You watch, you listen, you calculate. That is control. That is influence. That is dominance without effort. Do not fear quiet. Do not rush to fill gaps with words. The louder you try, the less they follow. Let them speak. Let them over-explain. Let them reveal. Their words give you leverage. Their hesitation gives you direction. Their attempts to provoke you fail because you remain still. Every pause is a statement. Every quiet moment is a decision they must respond to. And respond they will. Use silence to reset. If tension rises, if chaos spreads, if arguments escalate, do not speak immediately. Let the room adjust itself around your calm. They are waiting for your cue. When you finally speak, your words carry weight they would not have had if you had spoken too soon. Timing, combined with quiet, creates authority. The room bends to the person who does not panic, does not compete, does not demand attention. Silence also exposes weakness. People reveal more when they think you are not listening. Their fears, their pride, their ambitions, they all come forward to fill your stillness. You do not need to probe. You simply observe. One measured question after a silent pause, one controlled word, shifts the balance completely. They follow your lead without ever realizing it. Remember, silence is not absence. It is a tool. It is not submission. It is strategy. The quieter you remain, the more they speak, the more they reveal, the more control you gain. One word, one phrase, one command, enough to tilt the room, shift the conversation, and assert authority without raising your voice. It is your weapon. It is your power. It is the foundation of control. Master it, and every conversation bends to you. You do not raise your voice. You do not demand. You simply exist, and they obey. You always think 3 steps ahead. You don't wait for them to act. You predict. Every glance, every hesitation, every subtle shift in posture tells you what's coming. People reveal their intentions before they speak. You notice it. You calculate it. You move accordingly. That is control. That is dominance without confrontation. Expect resistance. Expect doubt. Expect pride to surface. People rarely behave as you wish. They behave as they are. Your job is to anticipate it, to see it before it happens. A raised eyebrow, a slight pause, a tightening jaw. These are the signals. You do not confront them yet. You prepare. You align your words, your tone, your presence to guide them precisely where you want them. That is the Shelby method. Prediction as power. Anticipation is not guesswork. It is observation. It is patience. It is calculation. Every reaction has a pattern. Every choice, a trace of predictability. Watch, listen, and commit to memory. Learn how they respond under pressure, under praise, under scrutiny. The more you know, the less you need to speak. One measured word at the right time carries more weight than a dozen shouted sentences. You bend outcomes silently because you know what will come before it does. Use anticipation to manipulate subtly. If someone tries to challenge you, you've already considered their words, their tone, their probable reaction. You respond before they finish thinking. If someone seeks approval, you've already positioned your phrasing to make them comply without realizing it. You never force. You never overexpose yourself. You let the natural flow of their behavior fall into your hands. You guide without being seen, dominate without being noticed. And remember, the quieter you observe, the clearer the pattern becomes. People cannot hide everything. Hesitation, eagerness, arrogance, they all leave traces. When you anticipate effectively, you do not argue. You do not raise your voice. You intervene with precision. One well-placed phrase, one deliberate pause, one subtle shift in demeanor, and the room aligns with your intent. They respond because you knew, before they did, what they would do. That is control. That is authority. That is silent mastery. Anticipation turns the unpredictable predictable. It gives you leverage before they act, influence before they speak, dominance without confrontation. You do not react. You orchestrate. You do not speak louder. You speak smarter. Every move, every word, every gesture is calculated. And they follow, unaware, because you anticipated it all along. You decide when it ends. You control the exit before anyone else realizes the conversation is closing. Most people stumble through endings, desperate to assert their last point, hoping to leave an impression. Not you. You close with precision. You leave impact without effort. The final word is yours, not because you demand it, but because you create the conditions for it. Never rush. Never show eagerness. Let the conversation naturally reach the point you've been guiding it toward all along. People underestimate the power of silence at the conclusion. They sense closure without you announcing it. They feel a shift, and they follow it instinctively. That is authority. That is control. Your final words are measured. They are deliberate. They carry weight, because every preceding word, pause, and gesture set the stage. Do not justify. One phrase, carefully chosen, suffices. It signals conclusion, command, and direction. That will do. We proceed from here. Or even a simple, that's enough for now. These are not mere statements. They are declarations of control. You don't ask for compliance. You ensure it, silently. People will try to linger, to argue, to stretch the moment. Let your calm enforce the boundary. Your presence communicates finality more effectively than any raised voice. They will test it, push against it, but they do so knowing, subconsciously, that the outcome is already decided. They feel it because you've controlled the conversation from start to finish. Every word, every pause, every question led to this moment. You are the anchor. You are the frame. You are the authority. Exit quietly but decisively. Never allow the conclusion to feel abrupt or unplanned. You leave them thinking, reflecting, adjusting to your control. They will replay the interaction, reconsider their position, and remember who held influence. That is Thomas Shelby. Ending a conversation is an art of timing, subtlety, and unwavering presence. It is not about winning loudly. It is about leaving them aligned with your intent without realizing they followed. The room bends, outcomes are shaped, and decisions are influenced, all without a raised voice. That is mastery. That is influence. That is control. Control is quiet. Influence is invisible. You do not raise your voice. You do not demand. Every word, every pause, every gesture is calculated, deliberate, precise. People follow, not because you force them, but because you move with certainty, patience, and presence. You see their weakness, anticipate their moves, guide them without revealing intent. Silence, tone, timing. They are your weapons. Conversations bend to your will before a word is even spoken. This is mastery. This is authority. This is how control is claimed, silently, undeniably, and without ever raising your voice.